If you're skipping a breakfast, intermittent fasting, I don't think it's right for everyone. I think it's overdone, especially for females. And I think the choice to intermittent fast is always not the right choice. People are like, I want to intermittent fast because I want to lose weight. It's going to make it harder for you to lose weight.
Are there any other wellness or health trends that you don't necessarily support?
Erewhon smoothies. I've actually never had one.
Let's talk about it.
I mean, it goes back to the cold, and it's kind of fueled with all of the proteins and the colostrums, and there's a lot of good stuff in it. But from a Chinese medicine perspective, can your body even absorb it?
And I love Erewhon. There is even a perception that Chinese medicine is like woo-woo.
The premise of Chinese medicine is that it's a longevity medicine. There's 5,000 years of it. How the heck do we condense it into one's lifetime to teach it? But it works.
Are you not a fan of cold plunge?
If you're a woman on your period, please do not go in the cold plunge. The benefit of a cold plunge that I like is the contrast portion of it and the way that it makes your muscles and your blood vessels dilate.
What are some of the most common mistakes that we make that impede our gut health?
Oh my gosh, this is going to be so controversial.
We're finally doing this. This has been a long time in the making. I've been starting lately with some lightning round, this or that with my guests.
Yeah,
I'm so curious about these with you. So we can get into detail a little bit later, or if you want to expand a little bit now, but acupuncture or cupping?
Acupuncture.
I feel like that's a no-brainer. Herbs or supplements?
Herbs.
You're like very on. I feel like everybody has to explain their thinking behind this, and you're just like, no.
Do I need to explain it, or it's okay? Great.
No, not at all. Okay, ginger tea or green tea?
Ginger tea, because I drink it more, I think.
Tongue diagnosis or lab tests?
Tongue diagnosis. That one's fun.
Red light therapy or gua sha?
Ooh, can I say both?
Mm-hmm. And we'll get into that later for sure. Needles or no needles?
Needles for sure. Everywhere, in all my purses and all my pockets.
Okay. And then I'm curious, what is like your dream self-care day? Like, what is your dream day if you could make one?
It would start with sleeping in, a morning routine, some type of self-care that consists of skincare. You know, my skincare routine, meditation, journaling, probably jumping in a sauna, going for a swim, being outside in nature, ideally a beach or the ocean because I'm a water baby, reading a book, having good food, and then sleeping.
That's so wholesome. Yeah. That does sound so nice right now.
I think I just described vacation.
Yeah,
in like Italy.
Yeah, exactly. Your skin is bananas, by the way, Tessa. Have you ever seen anything like this? It's crazy. We're going to talk about all of the skin things internally and externally as well. But you grew up in Hong Kong, right? And you were actually studying to be a doctor. You went to allopathic, or to be an allopathic doctor.
I did. It's funny because it was most of my background, like even in Hong Kong, it is an Asian country. I went to an American international school, and because of that, my education was very American focused. So I spent a lot of my summers shadowing doctors in Hong Kong, but also the US. I had some cousins out here and aunts that I would stay with, and I did a lot of summers at Kaiser in the Bay Area. But I knew ever since I was young, I wanted to be a doctor. I think it was probably like a past life. I want to be a doctor as a 6-year-old. And so that was just always the path. And I never veered from it. I really, really enjoyed the shadowing. I shadowed a neurosurgeon, a pediatric neurosurgeon for a while, and an oncology neurosurgeon. So it was really intense. But I think it was my first experience of, oh my goodness, this is what healthcare is like in the US. And I continued that for many years. And then that's when I came to the US for college. And I studied neuroscience because of that experience and pre-med, and then worked in a hospital. And it was everything I loved and imagined. And then one day I was like, this is not for me. I think I was craving something more holistic, something that really tuned into mind, body, and soul, that looked at emotions as one of the main factors of health and illness. And Chinese medicine made sense because it was my background at home. It was, you know, what my grandmother would tell me, my parents. And it just aligned really well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what was the attitude or the approach to healthcare like in Hong Kong growing up compared to here?
Yeah, it was definitely more holistic and there was more options. I lived in like the suburban part of Hong Kong, which is like 20 minutes from the city. It's a small city. And my closest neighborhood clinic is a was a Western doctor. I would go in for a flu, they give me medication, but there was also the option to go into the city center to go see an uncle, to get acupuncture, to get herbs. But it also was very much revolved around how your parents would heal you at home with soups, with food, with the teas that they give you. And so it was really nice to be ingrained in culture that really looked at health as a holistic method.
Yeah. I mean, was there a time and a place for medication, or were you able to mostly treat things? Obviously, I would imagine for like infections and things like that.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, when I was younger, I feel blessed that I was a healthy kid. I never really needed anything major. Once in a while, of course, when I have high fever, my parents would give me Panadol because it was just easier as a kid to maintain that. I was doing a lot of sports. I was active. There's always a time and place, but I think to really understand why the body's acting a certain way and to let your body heal naturally, I think that's what gave me a good basis of health nowadays. I was lucky because I didn't have to be on a lot of antibiotics when I was younger. But my twin sister, she was on antibiotics. And so our guts right now are completely different. We're identical twins, but our bodies are so different.
Interesting. How else besides the gut, or does it all stem from the gut?
Yes and no. I mean, I love the gut because, it is kind of the center of our immune system. It's so important with our microbiome, our serotonin, our dopamine. It's just, our mood. Everything does start from there. And we have very different gut health. And I think it really contributes to how we are now.
Wow. I kind of want to circle back to that
yes,
in a
little bit.
Of
course.
But you mentioned that being in a traditional hospital setting here was kind of everything that you thought it would be, and you loved it. And then one day you just came to the realization that it wasn't how you wanted to practice.
Yeah.
Was there something that happened, or did you just kind of hit a breaking point with it?
I think I almost hit a breaking point because at that point I was working at Boston Children's Hospital. I was doing a lot of clinical research, again, working with pediatrics, but around pediatric allergy and immunology. So I was working with a lot of kids with intense eczema. And, let's say 10-year-olds who've never been able to jump in the ocean because they're covered in eczema. And so the trials I was working on was actually on Dupixent or dupilumab. And it was a phase 3 trial to see whether it was safe for kids to use. And in a sense, it kind of stops the inflammatory pathway in the gut so that their skin doesn't react the way it usually does. But the side effects I saw, because it was a clinical trial, I'm like, okay, this is not the best. One of the kids that I worked with had pink eye, so conjunctivitis for 6 months. And that was the side effect. And it got a little bit better, but then his skin would flare up again. And the only external application is steroids or, bleach baths. And I remember him telling me, he's like, yeah, Boston Children's offers acupuncture once in a while. He's like, that's the only thing that helps me not itch. And I think that was almost a wake-up call to me, be like, okay, this is my culture. It is the medicine. Why is it not integrated the way that it is in China or Hong Kong than it is here in the US?
I have a friend who went to med school and did his residency in New York City. And I remember him talking about patients who had vertigo, because it's something that I've struggled with a lot too. And he said that, I don't remember exactly, I could be getting some of the facts wrong here, but acupuncture has helped me so much in that regard. And he said that the patients who went on benzodiazepines had the same outcome as the patients who went to acupuncture because it was so effective in that vestibular suppression.
Interesting. Okay.
So yeah, he said that sometimes he would just send them to the acupuncturist, which I thought was amazing.
Yeah, wow.
Because a lot of, traditional Western medicine like brushes it off. And I think that there is even a perception just among people that TCM or Chinese medicine, whatever it's, and acupuncture is like woo-woo or fringe.
Of course, yeah. I get that. I think a lot of what contributes to the woo-woo part of acupuncture in the Western world is that it's so hard to understand. Even in itself, and I think a lot of people don't understand the education around it. I went to a 4 years master's program and they continue to do my doctorate. And I'm still learning every day. I'm a student my whole life because it is a creative medicine. There's 5,000 years of it. So how the heck do we condense it into even one's lifetime to teach it, to, help patients? But it works. And now a lot of modern research is catching up and sharing that it is working.
I would love for you to explain to the listeners a little bit about the education piece, because there are always going to be trolls on the internet and everything. But when I've had some doctors of acupuncture, doctors of Chinese medicine on my show, people have been like, that's not a real doctor. And I'm like, says who though? Okay, it's not an MD. right?
Correct.
But why don't you explain the education? Because there is so much that goes into it.
I think, rewinding back to when acupuncture was almost systemized in the US. I think it was, oh my gosh, I'm going to get the dates a little bit wrong, but probably like 1960s, 70s. So I went to Emperor's College and they were the first master's program or first school to really streamline education and what it meant. Because it already existed in Asia, in China, and Hong Kong. So how could we bring it to the Western world and make it make sense? Yeah, and then they created this program. It is very intense. I mean, it's 4 years. It's like any med school out there. The first 2 years is completely lecture-based. Even though it's a master's, you're doing so many more hours. I think it's like triple the amount of what a master's program truly is. And then the 2 latter years, you're also embedded in clinic, treating patients, working under supervisors who are, already clinicians in Chinese medicine, doctors. And then you have to take a 8-hour exam. And so you're basically in school for 4 years to learn about the medicine, and then you have to pass this exam. And so people study for 6 months to a year out of school to then pass this exam so they're licensed. So it's very rigorous, and you really have to know what you're doing.
And you also took the MCATs, right?
Oh my gosh, I did. I remember back in Boston for Halloween one year, I was an MCAT for Halloween.
How does one dress as an MCAT? Oh, like a cat?
Oh my gosh, what I'm about to tell you. I was wearing cat ears and I had note cards with all of my MCAT terms. It was like a thrown together costume because I was like, I just took it. And this is it.
Goodness.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I did do it.
There was a time in the beginning of COVID that I was like, I'm going to go back to school and I want to go to med school. And so I was like deeply ingrained. And I mean, I still had to finish undergrad because I dropped out when I was like 19. But I went back to undergrad for a year and I was doing like 5 classes a semester. And I was so into it. And, I was working with counselors, like, okay, what classes should I take so that I can go to med school, and like the MCATs and all of that. Like there's so much, you have to look so far ahead.
And
I
all
was
the prereqs.
obsessed with it.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And then after a year, I was like, no.
Yeah, and it was, yes, I've been there. I mean, that was my whole undergrad. I made sure that I had all the requirements. Yes.
It's amazing. I mean, it's amazing how much work it is. And to do that and then to go on and
just completely flip-flop and then redo the education.
Yeah. So what was maybe the most surprising thing to you, or what was the biggest difference when you went from traditional Western medicine to studying more Eastern?
It's interesting because I have a background. I, know Mandarin. I speak Cantonese at home, but learning Chinese medicine was like learning a new language. And I think maybe I had a little bit easier in the beginning, just learning terms and herbs that were all taught in Chinese, but we learned the Latin as well. And also the English version. You were learning it in 3 languages, essentially. So I think that was the biggest shock to me. I completely had to reframe my understanding of science. I remember there was an intro 101 class to Chinese medicine. And I was like, oh my goodness, there's so much history to it. I have to reframe my body and understand that there was 5,000 years of sages and doctors that kind of put this experiential medicine together to make it make sense. And through 5,000 years of understanding how the human body works, they're finally able to put it on text to then teach people about it. Completely different. It's almost like a flip-flop. I had to like unscrew my Western medicine brain. And I think that's why a lot of people in my program, they didn't have Western medicine background. And I don't think that was necessary at all because they would teach you. So you're learning Chinese medicine and anatomy and physics. And the program was a mix of West and East.
Oh, interesting. So are there times when you are seeing a patient in your clinic, which by the way is like the most relaxing place ever. If anybody's in LA and can go, it's amazing. But it sounds like you would draw from both. And I will self-disclose, when I first came to see you, unrelated to this podcast, it was a few times into seeing you and being treated by you that I was like, oh, you should come on the podcast because you're so amazing at what you do. But you took such a thorough history of everything that was going on with me, and you understand it from both angles. And that was really evident.
When most people come in, they already have their Western understanding of it. So it's really important to know, I think, the basis of it and how it translates to Chinese medicine. I mean, some clinics, you don't even need to know the Western diagnosis. They'll just look at your tongue, feel your pulse, ask you what the main chief complaint is, and they're going to treat you with acupuncture. But I think a lot, at least what I believe in and how I like to treat patients, is so much of it is first an energetic transfer, right? I like to understand everything that's going on with someone's body, because you're essentially putting puzzle pieces together and then finding the root cause. Because you can't figure out the root cause without hearing where they're coming from, because they share so much information about their emotions, how their body is holistically, everything from their sleep to stools to diet. It's all important.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, what are the things that you see the most now? Because I would imagine that it would differ a little bit, maybe like depending on where you're practicing. Like LA would be different from, insert whatever, a different place.
I think LA, this is a good one. I mean, first of all, I see a lot of gut and mental health access issues. And especially here in the US versus Hong Kong, for example, food is very different and the quality of food. And so gut health is always kind of apparent for most patients, whether it's some type of constipation or bloating. Someone always has some type of gut health issue, and whether it's connected to anxiety, to depression. I see that a lot. And as you know, I see a lot of people coming in for Botox alternative, which is so fun. Hence cosmetic acupuncture. And I think that's something that is definitely more prevalent in LA.
Have you seen an increase in that lately at all?
Yeah, definitely. And I think people being more curious because they're more aware of what they're putting in their body and looking for more natural solutions.
As we are approaching the holiday season, you might be thinking about gifts, and finding the perfect gift can feel impossible. You want something that's thoughtful, fun, and guaranteed to make people smile, which is why Baked by Melissa is my go-to. These bite-sized cupcakes are always a crowd pleaser, and they have flavors for everybody and beautiful, unique packaging for any occasion. It is the one gift I know will land every single time. So the cupcakes are made entirely by hand and turn any moment into a celebration. They have the most gorgeous boxes for any occasion. They have such a good one for Halloween that makes a great gift. The last chance to order with standard shipping in time for Halloween is Wednesday, October 29th, today, so get on that. They're also perfect to bring as a hostess gift, to send to a friend to show that you're thinking of them, or to treat your team and your clients with custom packaging. Baked by Melissa arrives in just 1 to 2 days nationwide, so you know that your treats will arrive perfectly fresh and right on time. And there's also something for everyone. They offer incredible gluten-free, vegan, and no-nut options, making it easy to treat everyone that you love. My go-to if I'm going to somebody's house for a get-together, or if it's for somebody's birthday, is the box of fan favorites. I like to get the box of 100 because they are bite-sized and it has an assortment of everything, and it is a guaranteed crowd pleaser. So right now, Baked by Melissa is offering my listeners 20% off your order at bakedbymelissa.com/blonde. That's bakedbymelissa.com/blonde for 20% off your order. bakedbymelissa.com/blonde. Healthy choices can feel totally overwhelming, especially without a plan. But what if you could jumpstart your health and weight care journey with results in just 5 days, no injection needed? That is what makes Prolon's fasting mimicking diet a total game changer. It delivers real, sustainable benefits. And now with their new Next Gen program, you can experience the same science-backed cellular rejuvenative results in a cleaner, more convenient, and more flavorful format. So Prolon is a plant-based nutrition program featuring soups, snacks, and beverages designed to nourish the body while keeping it in a fasting state, which then triggers cellular rejuvenation and renewal. And NextGen builds on the original Prolon with 100% organic soups and teas, a richer taste, and ready-to-eat meals. It has been developed over decades at USC's Longevity Institute, and it's backed by top US medical centers. It's been shown to support biological age reduction, metabolic health, skin appearance, fat loss, and energy. And the beauty of it is that you don't have to actually fast. So I could never do a complete fast, but I could totally do Prolon because of the delicious meals that you get to have while you are doing it. So for a limited time, Prolon is offering listeners 15% off site-wide plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just visit prolonlife.com/blonde. That's PROLONLIFE.com/blonde to claim your 15% discount and your bonus gift. We all want to eat healthier and probably prepare home-cooked meals, but oftentimes work, school, kids, family, other responsibilities get in the way and make it really difficult, which is why I love Hungry Root, because Hungry Root takes the stress out of mealtime by planning a full week of meals tailored to your tastes, and it gets smarter with every order. They have over 15,000 recipes to choose from each week. Many are ready in just 15 minutes or less. And it is so easy to find options that fit your whole family's tastes and nutrition goals. Whether you are gluten-free, dairy-free, high protein, focused on gut health, or pretty much anything else, Hungry Root helps you stay on track. I personally love their anti-inflammatory meals. And after a quick quiz, their Smart Cart technology builds a weekly menu that fits your needs. So it's basically like having a personal meal planner who just gets it. Hungry Root holds its ingredients to high standards. They avoid over 200 additives like high fructose corn syrup, preservatives, and artificial sweeteners. They use quality ingredients like hormone and antibiotic-free meat and seafood, organic produce, and non-GMO choices, so you can feel good about what you are eating. I have been loving their lemon pepper chicken with cilantro lime rice. It is so good. So take advantage of this exclusive offer for a limited time. Get 40% off your first box, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/blonde and use the code blonde. That's hungryroot.com/blonde, code blonde for 40% off your first box and a free item of choice for life. Okay, so let's go back to the gut.
Yes.
What are some of the most common mistakes that we make or things that we might do in our daily lives that impede our gut health?
Oh my gosh, this is going to be so controversial. And it's funny because a lot of these videos do well because they're like, what?
Are you going to say iced matcha?
You kind of read my mind, or just iced beverages. And I think, I can rewind and go back to growing up in Hong Kong. You can't find ice anywhere. You go to a restaurant, they give you hot water or room temp water. Remember when my then boyfriend, now my husband, first came to Hong Kong, we'd be at a dim sum place and he'd be like, where's the water? I'm like, it's hot water or tea. And they had to go to a fridge outside to like the Mannings, which is like a 7-Eleven, to go pick him up a water. And he's like, oh, interesting. And the reasoning for that is that iced beverages or iced drinks, it basically dampens what we say our digestive fire. So we're warm-blooded, our digestion is warm. And we need that to move. It's almost like a metabolism. We need this warmth to move anything in our body. So ice and cold things freeze that. It's almost synergistic to our digestive enzymes. They have to be warm in order to absorb nutrients to the optimal level. I think it's about like 37, 38 Celsius or 98 Fahrenheit. That's warm. And so if you put ice cold drinks in your body, it's going to throw that off. And so you can't actually absorb the nutrients. So your body is then warming it up before it absorbs anything. And so your digestion is working on overdrive then to officially absorb anything you're eating.
Yeah, I feel like there is such a culture here of like you go out to eat and it's like the cold water and the ice and pounding water before, during, and after your meal. And it's like, I notice when I don't drink even before or after, sometimes have hot tea. I love like fresh mint tea after I eat. My digestion is so much better.
Yeah. And it's
night and day.
It's amazing how just that one simple shift can really help with your bloating and digestion. Yeah. I mean, with you, if we were to drink water, it'd be like a hot cup of water, but also the cups are tiny. In Hong Kong, there were dim sum cups and you just kind of have a sip here or there rather than chugging a bunch of water, because then it changes the acidity, your pH, and throws everything off.
This is another thing, not to keep like referring to people who leave like nasty comments on Instagram, not to give them any airtime, but I do see a lot of pushback too when people are talking about like, don't drink cold things. People are like, oh, give me a break. Like,
yeah, it's like, let me enjoy life. I mean, I agree. I'm not there to rip it away from you. I'm just there to educate. And I think whenever I educate or share videos, it's never to tell you to do something or not. Obviously there's going to be a hook that gets you hooked, but it's not my intention. It's more so, hey, like, by the way, there's this whole other side of health in the world that maybe you should just listen and just give it a shot, because it could really dissipate your bloating. It could make your fatigue feel better. And once in a while I get DMs or comments that I think are, really the crux of why I do what I do. And it's just like, oh my gosh, I just listened to your one video and I stopped drinking iced drinks for 1 month and I have energy, my bloating dissipated, my period came back. I'm like, that's amazing. Just off one simple tip.
Yeah, that's amazing. So how is that interconnected? Like, how would stopping drinking cold things, or I would imagine like eating cold raw things.
Yeah.
That's another one as well, right? How could that then affect like fatigue, period, all of that?
I guess we can start with, what are the digestive organs in Chinese medicine? We always think about the spleen and stomach. The spleen's not talked a lot about in Western medicine, and it's almost kind of similar to our pancreas. It's kind of our glucose and insulin producing organ, but it's very vital to our energy. And so the spleen in Chinese medicine, it loves warmth and it loves getting fed consistently. And so when you do anything that's the opposite, hence the cold foods or intermittent fasting, which we can talk about too, you're making the organ weaker. And the purpose of the organ is to transport and transform fluids, right? And so when the organ is a little bit weaker with the cold drinks, with not eating regularly, everything gets stuck. The fluids get stuck at different places of the body. We say that the energy that it should be moving doesn't go to the head, and hence the fatigue, the brain fog, all tied to digestion. Every time someone has bad digestion, their, energy's not there. They're always foggy minded, but also you might feel lethargic, like all of the energy is going down to your feet. It's making you feel tired. You don't have the ability to wake up in the morning. So that's all tied to the spleen's energy. And then tied to menstruation, I guess cold food is, again, we're warm blooded. Our womb loves to be warm. It needs to be warm to house a baby in a sense. And so when you do anything to cool that down, it's going to impact anything from women's health and fertility.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned intermittent fasting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's your take on that?
I don't think it's right for everyone. I think it's overdone, especially for females and women. And I think the choice to intermittent fast is always not the right choice. People are like, I want to intermittent fast because I want to lose weight. It's going to make it harder for you to lose weight.
Explain more about that.
Yeah. So again, back to the spleen and stomach organs, and also back to metabolism, cortisol. And here, this is where I'm like inserting the Western medicine portion of it, right? If you're skipping a breakfast, for example, in intermittent fasting, your body is going to be in a state of deficiency and a state of lack. And so the digestive organs are going to be weaker. And the spleen and stomach, hence the digestive organs, are essential to metabolism. So if you're not feeding, a great protein-rich, ideally warm breakfast, it's not going to be working at its optimal. And so it's just going to, the level of it's just going to be lower and lower and lower and work slower. So I've seen, with a lot of patients that having a breakfast consistently, they lose so much more weight than skipping it.
That was my experience too, because I feel like, not that I needed to lose weight, but I noticed that I used to wake up, I would have like 2 macadamia nuts and then like pound the matcha and then not eat until 11 o'clock in the morning. And maybe sometimes I would have something sugary, not bad, but yogurt with like granola and dried fruit, things like that with no protein. And then I'm kind of like off to the races, and my appetite was very erratic during the day. And then I would get so hungry before dinner. Like it was crazy. And I actually had a nutritionist that I worked with for years, not even on nutrition, on other things. And he would always talk about the second meal phenomenon.
Oh, interesting. Love to hear that.
It's like the first meal of the day is going to basically determine what you crave later in the day. So if you're eating something really sugary in the morning, that's going to be your craving later in the day. Whereas if you eat something more protein rich, and that's not to say that you can't have like carbs, fruit, things like that. I still have that every day. That's going to satiate you in a different way. And so I just found that my appetite was a lot more steady throughout the day. And it was just a lot more effortless to eat less, when it came to portion sizes, less grazing, snacking. So not like intentionally trying to lose weight or eat less, but it just really helped with my cravings. And, I always go back to like years and years ago. Right around when I started my Instagram, I had like a bad binge eating situation going on. And it's because I was depriving myself so much during the day.
That all you wanted to eat, was at nighttime.
Yeah. And I would have like the pint of Arctic Zero. That was the era back then. With the
wow, I haven't heard that in a while.
Microwaved on top. Yeah. It's not, you can imagine the gut health.
It's funny too, when patients are just like, I have cravings all the time at night and sugar cravings. I'm like, you're not eating enough during the day. You're not eating a breakfast. It all goes back to, again, the glucose spike. If you're having something sugary in the morning, again, the granola and dry fruits, your glucose is spiking and then it's dipping, then you're tired and your body's going to be like, I need that sugar crave again to give me that energy. But if you have, let's say, the granola and dried fruit, but like an egg or high protein, it could be like yogurt, coconut yogurt, hemp seeds, chia seeds, whatever it is for you, it's going to hold down the glucose spike, right? And so you're not craving that instant, quick fix of energy that you're craving.
Yeah, I usually do coconut yogurt with protein powder, but I just have to share this hot tip because I feel like people are going to appreciate it. I don't know if this is like approved, but Siggy's has a high protein yogurt now.
Oh.
Dairy free.
Oh, I haven't tried it.
It's coconut yogurt based. Okay. It has pea protein, but not a lot of other stuff. No sugar. Actually, I may need to check
that.
Check
no,
on
that's
that.
Okay.
But low sugar, but it's really, really good. It's a good option.
I have to try that.
Yeah.
I just tried the coconut cult one. That also has pea protein in it.
Oh, I didn't know that they had pea protein in it.
Yeah, I think it just came out recently, and I think that's fine. I personally am not a yogurt, eater. I just didn't grow up eating a lot of yogurt. It was always just more savory. In a Hong Kong household, I'd have leftover dinner for breakfast, or we'd have like dim sum or dumplings for breakfast.
Yeah.
That's what I had. Also like protein rich.
Yeah. That same nutritionist, his name is Rob Yang. He's he still comes on. I think he's been on 3 or 4 times now.
Oh, I love that.
And I keep in touch with him. And he is really, really smart. And so
oh my gosh, I
like to check in with him about certain things. But he would always talk about that too. And he would be like, we need to undo the habit or the idea that breakfast needs to be sweet or something different from lunch and dinner.
Yeah.
Which I understand. It's hard to acquire the taste, maybe to have a piece of chicken or meat or even eggs, things like that. I'm not really a super savory breakfast person myself. So I understand the struggle, but I think that it makes such a huge difference.
It's taste palette, it's cultural. I get it. And it's also your hunger levels in the morning. I think, we live in a society, and not just in the US, but all over the world, where it's very much go, go, go. You wake up, you have to go to work, you're in this kind of a rush cortisol fight or flight spike, right? And when your body's in that state, it's not going to want to eat a dinner meal. So how do we reset kind of our mindset around it to then be okay, maybe I'll eat smaller portions. Maybe leftover chicken and asparagus is great because it's going to fuel me. But I think it's a lot of the craving around it. People don't want to have that in the morning.
Are there any other wellness or health trends like intermittent fasting that you don't necessarily support?
The Erewhon smoothies. I've actually never had one.
Let's talk about it.
It goes back to the cold, goes back to the sugar. It's kind of fueled with all of the proteins and the colostrums, and there's a lot of good stuff in it. But from a Chinese medicine perspective, can your body even absorb it? Because it's cold, because it's full of dairy, it's damp. So when, again, we think about digestion, a lot of the times when it's weaker, there's so much dampness in it. So what the heck, what the heck does dampness mean? It just means that there's too much heaviness in the liquid, so nothing can move and you're not able to absorb it. It's the bloating that happens. When you feel damp, the bloat happens, right? If you feel damp, you get the loose stools because it's cold and yucky. And anyways, sorry, we're going into this word and this semantics of it. But the Erewhon smoothie is sugary, so that adds to dampness. It's cold, it's damp. And then how you're putting in your body. So is your body actually going to absorb the protein in it, the colostrums and all the good added benefits?
Yeah. I love Erewhon. And shout out. I was just with one of the owners in Saint-Tropez.
I do love Erewhon.
Yeah. But I feel I'm trying to remember which one I've had. I've also only ever tasted the Hailey Bieber one. And I didn't actually get a full one. And it was quite overpowering in my opinion.
Was it yummy?
So sweet. Yeah. Just too sweet. I like some of their other smoothies, but I haven't been doing smoothies in a long time. So
what I do love is their bone broth. How they always do smoothie collaborations. I'm they have to do a bone broth collaboration.
You should do a Moonbow Erewhon non-smoothie.
That is the dream. Yeah. And a bone broth with Chinese medicine herbs. There's also, I think there's a few bone broths that have herbs in it that I'm these are Chinese medicine herbs, but no one talks about it. I'm the weirdo that goes in to get the bone broth, not the smoothie.
Yeah. That's a hot tip though.
Yeah. Get
Swap the bone broth. Swap the smoothie for bone broth. Anything else? So are you not a fan of cold plunge?
Yes and no. It's funny because we do have one in the office, as you know, but we have one not for cold plunging, but for contrast therapy. There is a few Chinese medicine rules where if you're a woman on your period, please do not go in the cold plunge. We have a little printed instruction sheet. I'm just that share things that you should or shouldn't do from a Chinese medicine perspective because we are a Chinese medicine clinic. And I think the benefit of a cold plunge that I like is the contrast portion of it and the way that it makes your muscles and your blood vessels dilate and the way that it makes your body feel, especially mental health wise, and almost that shock for your body. But again, it has to be right for you because I guess, back to the contrast portion of it, we say start hot, end hot. I don't want you walking out of the clinic feeling cold because then your body is going to be cold for the rest of the day and it's going to slow down everything from metabolism, from energy. It's going to affect sleep, digestion, but also, are you the right person to do the contrast? Will the cold spike your cortisol and will it make you more anxious? And I think it really depends. And so, when people book it or when it's tied to the acupuncture treatment, it's really based on the person's constitution and whether it's right for them.
What do you like to do for contrast therapy? Is there like a formula? Because sometimes I'll go do it, and I am putting in a sauna and cold plunge at my house, and I would do like 12 to 12 to.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I do like 15-1, 15-1.
Okay.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah, as long as you start hot and hot.
Okay. Oh, and hot.
And hot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't normally do that. That's a good tip.
And it could be just like the 5 minutes, just so your body isn't cold leaving.
Yeah.
And just to make sure that there is blood flow.
Okay. I want to talk about the emotional piece of it. So let's get into that. How can emotions affect our physical health? I'm sure everybody has the experience of that, but what is like the downstream effect?
Yeah. I always like to start that, one of the first texts that I ever read in Chinese medicine school was, a big ass textbook about how everything starts from emotions. We're human beings, we feel emotions, and it's so spectacular to feel a range of emotions, but every emotion will have a physiological reaction, right? I mean, joy will make your heart race a little bit. Excitement too. Grief will, hold all of the energy in. And every organ in Chinese medicine has a corresponding emotion. For example, lungs are the grief, heart is joy, liver is stress and frustration. So we see a lot of liver off balance in clinic from a Western and Chinese medicine perspective. The spleen is thought, worry, and overthinking. So a lot of people in their head, they're going to have a weak digestion. Kidneys, fear, and a lot of the imbalances that we see with the emotional aspect of it, it really goes to show how strong the organ is in Chinese medicine. We say off balance. It doesn't mean that there's like anything wrong with it. It's not, a lab test isn't going to come back to say your liver enzymes are off unless you're really having intense stress or frustration that's over a prolonged time, then perhaps the liver processing is not going to be there. But how can we recognize those imbalances that the emotions trigger, bring them back into balance before something more severe happens in the long run?
Can you tell what somebody's emotions are when you meet with them, even before you talk about it? Or like if you're working on somebody's body?
Yeah.
I mean, okay,
yes.
So we've done it. We can talk about my own treatment, by the way. What is the spot where you would do it? Oh, here?
Oh, on the belly?
Yeah.
Oh, I love talking about this. I guess, we call them reflex points. It's based on Japanese acupuncture through Kiko Matsumoto, and she's an amazing practitioner. But basically through, again, experiential science, let's say, or over working with thousands and thousands and thousands of people, you recognize that there's certain patterns that everyone has. And so when I used to feel portions of your belly and then putting in 1 or 2 points to release it, it's creating an energetic flow. And there's some points in the body that signify, your immunity is a little bit low, or that there's blood stagnation, or meaning that the free flow of energy isn't there, even that your adrenals are high. I know that I press one like on the bottom of the feet. That point is called kidney 2. I always like to say that's the point that reflects high cortisol almost, because we say it's the fire point of the kidney. And in Western anatomy, the adrenals sit on top of the kidneys. And if that's sore, it means that cortisol is a little bit off balance. And so from a Chinese medicine perspective, because it's the fire point, in nature, what is the element that puts out fire? It's water. So then we put the water point on the body, because every point has a name and, an element tied to it. Sorry, I just went, in a circle trying to explain what I'm doing with patients. Yeah, but again, it's back to nature. It's a nature medicine. And so these reflex points will be released.
Do you have any examples that you can share of people who you've treated, who you treated the emotional blockage and then
something happens?
Some kind
of gosh, yes. I have. Sometimes I have to preface when someone is holding in a lot of trauma, whatever the basis of it is. I always tell them like, you might cry later. You might have these intense emotional outbursts after the treatment, because we're removing everything in your body that has been stuck for years. For example, I can tell that someone is experiencing a lung imbalance related to grief. For example, if they're waking up between like 3 and 5 or 5 and 7 in the morning, right? Because that is the lung time. And I guess just the early morning wake-ups. And sometimes I remember there was a patient where after a couple times I was just getting to know her, and I'm like, did you experience loss of a loved one? She was like, yeah. And so we started talking about it. We treated the lungs and the grief, and she was able to sleep through the early mornings because she was able to process it again.
It's just hard. We've just been conditioned to separate and silo the body.
And compartmentalize it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, you were studying neuroscience, so that's probably something that you saw a lot there, where like the brain is siloed off from the rest of the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember actually my ex like had really bad back pain and I actually recommended acupuncture and he did not want to do that. But he was reading this book, Healing Back Pain by John Sarno. Do you know that one?
Yeah, I haven't read it, but I've heard great things about it.
I feel like a lot of people reference that when it comes to trapped emotions because the whole idea behind it is that the back pain is not back pain. The back pain is, this trapped, repressed emotion. And when you work on, I think that one specifically was anger. And when you work on the anger, and there are people who have, gone and had back surgery, multiple back surgeries, and the issue persists. And then they go and they treat the emotional thing. And then all of a sudden the pain
goes away.
Yeah.
Yes. We have this channel in Chinese medicine called the Daimai channel. It's almost like our belt meridian. And it's like one of the only meridians that runs horizontally because all the meridians, run from top to bottom, head to toe, hands to feet. And this is an area that we see for so many people that is stagnated whenever anyone's holding on to emotions that they haven't processed. Their hips get tight. For women, infertility happens when they're not able to access their emotions. For men, it's a lot of back pain because it's all this channel.
I do want to talk about the cosmetic acupuncture, of course, and then talk about skincare as well. I would be remiss not to. One, because your skin is insane. And also you have a new skincare line, which is amazing.
Thank you.
And it's all Chinese medicine based.
Yeah.
But let's go back to like, what are some things that we can be doing internally or externally to support aging, support skin, longevity, all of that?
Oh, I was about to say longevity. I mean, I think the premise of Chinese medicine is that it's a longevity medicine, right? It's less about putting out the fires when something happens or putting a Band-Aid on it. It's like, how can we create a healthy body, a vital body, than to make you or age gracefully rather than be fearful of aging. And it's nourishing the body inside and outside and in, right? I mean, it's finding the right skincare that is for you, clean skincare that is getting to your concerns. But how can you eat your skincare? And ever since I was young, it was always so core to how we treated beauty. My mom was a beauty fanatic and taught us skincare when we were 8, but also taught us, you have to eat certain things. We'd always have different soups with tremella mushrooms, with goji berry, jujube dates, with peach gum. And as a kid, I'm like, what is this weird gushy thing? And I'd eat it with no understanding of it. And until I studied Chinese medicine, I'm like, oh my God, it's so good for you.
If you are listening to this podcast, then I think I know something about you, and that is that you do all of the things for your health and wellness. You probably try to eat really healthy. You probably are cognizant about the products that you use around your home and your body. But there's a category that so many of us overlook, including myself, and that is the cookware that we cook with. So a study by the Ecology Center in California found that 80% of nonstick pans contain Teflon, which can be released into your food, your home, and your body. In fact, a brand new study published in the Science of the Total Environment even found that a single scratch on a nonstick coated pan can release approximately 9,100 plastic particles, which is not something that you want to be ingesting. This is why I love Our Place. They make high performance, toxin-free cookware. Their products are made without forever chemicals, so you can cook confidently without wondering what is in your pan except for what you are cooking. I love their cookware set. It totally upgrades your kitchen in one fell swoop. It includes 2 multifunctional always pans and 2 perfect pots in mini and full sizes. It replaces your bulky, expensive stack of cookware, and you can sear, saute, fry, bake, boil, roast, steam, and more. You guys know I also love their blender. I make my matcha in it every day. They have an amazing revolutionary air fryer and toaster oven in one, their Wonder Oven. It's made from stainless steel and glass, so it's eco-friendly and it's good for you. And everything is also very aesthetic. So stop cooking with toxic cookware and upgrade to Our Place today. Visit FromOurPlace.com/blonde and use the code blonde for 10% off site-wide. With a 100-day risk-free trial, free shipping and returns, you can experience this game-changing cookware with zero risk. If you're dealing with hair issues like thinning or shedding, but you feel totally stuck on what to try next, I get it. I have been there and I know how frustrating it is. There are so many products out there and it's definitely hard to know which ones are actually going to do anything, which is why I gave Nutrafol a closer look. And it's really not just hype. It is physician formulated, it's clinically tested, and even recommended by dermatologists. When I started using it back in 2022, it was not only recommended to me by my dermatologist, but also my hair colorist, a plastic surgeon friend of mine, an aesthetic nurse practitioner friend of mine. So it was recommended basically across the board. It is the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand. It's trusted by over 1.5 million people. And you can feel good about what you're putting in your body because Nutrafol hair growth supplements are backed by peer-reviewed studies and NSF content certified, which is the gold standard in third-party certification for supplements. Nutrafol also clinically tests final formulations, not just ingredient studies, to ensure their efficacy using a variety of hair measurement tools. So see thicker, stronger, faster growing hair with less shedding in just 3 to 6 months with Nutrafol. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering my listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code BLONDE. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, code BLONDE. Cooler days call for layers that last, and Quince has been my go-to for quality essentials that feel cozy, look refined, and won't blow your budget. So think $50 Mongolian cashmere, premium denim that fits like a dream, and luxe outerwear that you will wear year after year. These are the pieces that will turn into your fall uniform. I've been eyeing some of their wool coats. They look designer level, but cost a fraction of the price, and the quality is just as good, if not better. I have pieces from Quince that I got last year that I'm re-wearing again this year, and they look brand new. And because Quince partners directly with top-tier ethical factories and cuts out the middlemen, they deliver luxury quality pieces at half the price of similar brands. It's the kind of wardrobe upgrade that feels smart, stylish, and effortless. And speaking of designer level, I just got this Mongolian cashmere structured cardigan. It looks designer. It looks like one of our favorite designers who I won't name. It is gorgeous and I get so many compliments on it, and it's about $150. I also have been wearing their 100% organic cotton cropped cardigan. I got it in multiple colors. It is the perfect length. You guys know I am a stickler when it comes to that. It's so gorgeous and comfortable. So find your fall staples at Quince. Go to quince.com/blonde for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada as well. So go to quince.com/blonde for free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/blonde. What does it do exactly?
Yeah. So a lot of the things that I just listed, right? The tremella mushrooms, the goji berries, jujube dates, peach gum. There's two main factors that lead to great skin, right? When we think about when we age, we lose a lot of fluid. You know, we get wrinkly, we get dry. So what is that substance we're missing? It's this fluid. And so in Chinese medicine, we call it our yin, like yin. It's our yin to our yang. It's almost our body's cooling system. It's the fluid that our body holds. It's like, hence when you get a little bit older, you always have peeing issues because you have to pee a lot because you're losing all of it. So how can you keep that all in your body and make your reservoir higher to a point where when you get older, you have more to like back off, right? So you have to eat foods nourishing in yin. And what is a big component of this yin is also the blood in our body. So how can we eat to nourish our blood? You know, it's foods that are iron rich, B vitamin rich. It's, you know, red meats. You know, I'm a big proponent of red meat in Chinese medicine. And in Asian culture, you don't meet any vegans. You know, I'd be kind of ostracized if I were a vegan in my Chinese household.
You know Remy though, right?
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I love her. But she does it right.
Yeah.
But that's so funny.
I saw her comment on your matcha video.
Oh, yeah. She was like, duh, I can't see this.
I was like, oh, it reached her.
Yeah, I guess, you know, back to this yin and blood, right? We need this vitality. So how can we eat this in our body to, again, create this reservoir that's high enough to create longevity and skin health? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like tremella mushroom, that's like the one that everybody knows. That's the snow fungus,
yes, snow
right?
fungus or white fungus or it's funny, when I was younger, my mom would always say it's like the half-ass version of what bird's nest is.
Oh.
I don't know if you know what bird's nest soup is, but it's always served in weddings. It's almost, you know, it's a very prized Asian food. It's literally like swallow nest, and they take it off the side of the mountain and they boil it in a way and you eat it because it's so high in yin. And as a kid, I was like, this is so gross, I want to eat it. And so instead, my mom would put tremella mushrooms in soup.
What skincare did she teach you when you were 8?
I think it was more just so like, this is what I'm doing. Yeah, take care of it. Wash your face, like moisturize it. And at 8, we weren't doing that. It's more so we were watching our mom do it until we hit like our puberty years. And I started breaking out. She was like, now you have to wash your face and put on the skincare. But for so long, it was Clinique. It was what was all over Hong Kong. Whether it's clean or not, like it helped my face. I didn't really have a lot of acne as a kid. I actually had pretty debilitating acne 3 years ago in my adult life.
So what did you do to clear that up? Because your skin is flawless.
Thank you. I went through a journey, and it's Chinese medicine. And I went through everything holistically. Like, I mean, when I tell you just the emotional aspect of how bad skin can really affect you, like I've been there. I was to a point where I'm like, I want to get on Accutane, but I'm like, I cannot. This is the antithesis of a holistic doctor in Chinese medicine. So let me figure it out holistically. I got acupuncture weekly to balance my hormones. I was on a slew of different Chinese herbal formulas specific to my condition. A lot of people always ask, what formula were you on? I'm like, I can't. I mean, I can share, but don't take it because it may not be right for you, because it was my underlying cause of why my acne was happening.
Yeah. I mean, I think until you experience it, it's hard to understand like how disheartening it is.
Exactly.
And frustrating to feel like you're doing everything right.
And then nothing's working.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember I would do everything, and then I would get something new and I would put it on my face at night, and I would wake up and the first thing I would do was like touch my face and feel, because I had all around my neck and my jaw, like, and the side of my face. That was where I had it so bad when it happened to me 3 years ago as well. And to feel like that hope again, and then I would feel my face and then look in the mirror.
Yeah,
and
you're
like,
just like,
oh my God. And there's like a million new cysts,
Yes,
like it's
exactly.
Just so frustrating.
I did everything. Yeah, I did everything. It was the first time I actually I think explored a lot of skincare, because to me, I'm like, how can I address it internally? Because I was doing the acupuncture, I was taking the herbs, but it takes time and patience. So I'm like, but how do I get the facials? How do I do the chemical peels? There was a moment in my life I did everything and I stripped my barrier, and it made my acne worse. It's where I learned that vitamin C was actually too active for my personal skin, and it was making me break out. But because of the vitamin C craze, oh my God, I probably sifted through 10 or 15 different types of vitamin C in different brands. And it took me a while to understand that, okay, that's probably one of the things causing my breakout, but also all of the root cause. I was on birth control for 10 years. I got off of it. My body wasn't absorbing B12. I was really, what we say in Chinese medicine, blood deficient. I was getting lightheaded easily. I was fatigued. There was so much more about my body that I was like, okay, this is why my skin's reacting. My gut was off. I got COVID like 3 times within like 4 months, I'm like, okay, everything's off balance.
Yeah, that's interesting. That happened to me too, right around the time that I had the acne. I don't think it was COVID related, but I was also having some gut stuff going on. And then I got COVID for the first time and it was bad. And I remember somebody saying like COVID exacerbates like the symptoms that you normally get when you're sick. So mine was I did have a bad cough and cold and, all of the respiratory stuff for like 2-3 days. And then it was like purely neurological. I mean, I felt drunk and like I was never going to get better because I had vertigo and like debilitating anxiety. It was very it was very neurological. And then I got better. And then like 2 weeks later, I was positive again. So it was just, there was a lot going on. My body was like very weak, I think is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. And I was there too. I mean, it was a point in my career where I was, studying so much. I was stressed about life. And again, the core of it is, how do you manage your stress? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what do you do for your skin now?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. I mean, obviously I use my skincare line. I've been using it for 2 years now, even before launch, because I was like, I have to try this out because I can't push it out to my patients or consumers if it's not right for me. And I have very sensitive skin. So I use my 3-step routine. I, cleanse, use my serum, my moisturizer, morning and night. Morning time, it really depends. It depends like whether I'm going for a workout. If I'm doing a workout in the morning, I don't even touch my face. Sometimes I use a hypochloric acid from like Tower 28, or there's Element out there. There's so many different ones where I just kind of spritz my face, or even a moisturizing spray in the morning. And then nighttime, that's where I cleanse. If I wear makeup, I double cleanse. I double cleanse either with Moonbow or I start with an oil cleanser. And that's about it. Maybe like once or twice, I'll use a gentle chemical exfoliant like an AHA or glycolic. And if I feel like I have little breakouts, I'll probably up that to like twice a week. And that's pretty much it.
How did you arrive at the ingredients that you used
this is so fun. I think what's important about herbs in general with formulations, so herbs we take internally, but also put externally, is that we never will share just one herb to say, hey, ginseng's awesome for the face. Make sure you're putting on your face or make sure you're taking it, because there's a special interplay of herbs working together. So then when I was creating it with my twin sister, I was like, okay, I know that these herbs work well together because they balance each other. I know these two herbs synergistically up its benefits for skin absorption. I know that this one helps harmonize the whole formula. So how can we include all of these herbs then to make it extra potent and absorbent on the face? And it was really fun to create. It was based off what our purpose was: the glowy skin, the barrier, the longevity, the wrinkle prevention. But we finally created, a simple 3 SKU line that is great for everyone. It's just more so to strengthen your barrier, to help with sensitive skin. We've seen also, it's been like 4 months in, but incredible results with people with acne where they used it for 1 month, the whole 3-step skin routine, morning and night, and their acne has dissipated.
So much work. So that's very gratifying, I'm sure. And, nerve-wracking putting something out there in the world, something that people are like using on their bodies.
It's like our babies.
Really quick, cosmetic acupuncture.
Yes.
What is it? What is it not?
Yes. I think people find it because they're like, oh my gosh, it's an alternative to Botox. So cosmetic acupuncture, it basically does everything your face needs for longevity. It's that chi flow, this energy flow to the face, the blood flow we talked about, and the yin nourishment, which again is the body's cooling system, but also everything that we need to create a plump, vital face. And so cosmetic acupuncture, we use tiny baby needles. It doesn't hurt. Like I can play around with it. I stick it all over my face and my body. They're tiny, they're hair thin. But what it does is that, it penetrates past the epidermis into the dermis. It creates microtrauma and it sends inflammatory signals to heal your skin. It sends signals for more collagen build, for more white blood cell flush. And so in general, it's creating this blood flow to the face that is going to plump your face more. It heals it faster. You can even target muscles then to activate muscles to lift your face, what Botox does, but essentially the opposite of it, because instead of freezing muscles, we're activating it. We can fill in fine lines and wrinkles. So like, let's say someone has a forehead line and we put acupuncture needles across this line, it starts to fill out because collagen build is going there. It's really, really cool. It's so effective. It just takes consistency. And I think it's the patience and consistency that a lot of people aren't used to because we're in such a quick gratification world.
And I think that people associate, like, you put a needle in your face and it freezes the muscle. I think that is what people are looking for the effect to be, when to your point, it's the opposite. So what is consistency? Like, how often should people be doing it?
I see the best results when people come in, let's say 10 times, either once a week or twice a week, depending on someone's schedule. We all are so busy. But I think when I say the best results and the greatest results is the faster it is and the longer it lasts. Not to say that you can't come in every other week or come in once a week for like 5 weeks. And then if you're traveling, it's not going to work. It's just more so how can we make it work to your schedule? But consistency is key.
Amazing. Well, tell everybody where they can find you and work with you and get Moonbow and all of that.
So for educational tidbits about Chinese medicine, I share a lot of it on Dr. Felice Chan. For skincare relevant, it's all on Moonbow_skin, both on Instagram and TikTok for both. And then for my clinic specific, it's feliceacupuncture.clinic.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.